Hello and welcome to PMC's podcast series, Nuts and Bolts Live. We're here to bring you educational content you can listen to whenever and wherever you choose. And I'm your host today, Diane Bohacek, Associate Director at PMC Snack Hub. Today we have with us Chris Armstrong. He is the Safety Business Partner over at Ahern Co. And he's here today to talk with us about some new safety technology that they are implementing at Ahern that they're using to ensure that safety of their field employees, particularly when they're alone on a job site. So thanks for being with us here today, Chris.
Yeah, thanks, Diane, for having me. Excited to be here.
So this conversation came about a while ago. We were talking about some new technology that you're seeing in the safety world, and you had brought up that you all were considering this lone safety worker safety technology, and we thought it would be a great topic to sort of share with the industry for the overall safety of all the field crews out there. Can you tell us a little bit about what led Ahern to implement this technology?
Sure. So I think at Ahern we always like to look at opportunities to improve. We're real big on continuous improvement and even utilizing technology, and a lot of our initiatives and ideas come from different places, and for better and worse, some of those come from incidents. In this case, Ahern had an employee that had suffered a fall, and one of the things was he was knocked unconscious. So what made that a little bit worse was that he was working alone. So he was in an area that no one was able to see or notice him right away. And so ultimately that kind of led to the employee being unnoticed for a significant amount of time before someone was able to finally find him and get help. So in the investigation of that, looking at everything, one of the things we looked at was lone workers, and it certainly wasn't new to us. We have many service technicians and people in the field that work alone, and we really thought that it was, kind of that, lightning bolt that really made us look at something that we need to address. So that's kind of, the catalyst for where it started. And over the coming months, we looked at a lot of different ideas and potential solutions.
Right.
And finally kind of, started to get towards the technology app stuff.
So as you started to research different types of lone worker technology, you eventually landed on this particular service. Was there something that really appealed to you about this one versus the others during your research period?
So I mean, we really looked at a lot of different solutions, even in general, not just apps. We were trying to look at, we have, things like smart sheets and Excel sheets, and we have, there's satellite phones, there's, beacons and, wearable devices. There's all these different things that can serve the lone worker purpose. However, being, construction and trades and knowing who our clientele is, our end users, we wanted to try to make it as simple as possible. And so that's where we really started to focus in on the app, because the guys already have company phones. We have a little bit of control on those phones where we can push out apps and kind of require them to do some things. And so that's where we got to I think we figured out the app would be the best solution. So from there, there's a lot of different lone worker apps. I was actually surprised by how many there were. So we started to kind of just, make a little spreadsheet of options, and we started looking at them, on paper at first. Whittled it down to a few different potentials, and then we reached out and started, making contact and learning about it, getting some demonstrations, just kind of, seeing the insides of the product and whatnot. And that took us down to I think we went with, there's 2 of them at the end, and we ended up doing like field trials. So we got 8 or 9 guys together, and they were able to download and use the app, each one of them for 3 or 4 weeks each. They gave it some runtime, and then we got feedback and commentary and all that stuff. And that's ultimately what allowed us to choose the one we went with. And some of the features
was there a feature that you really liked about this one that sort of put it over the top for you?
Yeah, so the 2 that we ended up demoing really actually had like some very opposite features. One was, I would say, it was very simple. It had a just real simple user interface, and it didn't have a lot of back-end features. And I'm like, oh, it's going to be great for the guys. It's just real simple and easy to use. And the other one it was more of a robust program, and it had a lot more features or a lot more options and bells and whistles and things.
Hmm.
And my initial thought was that this one would be too complicated. It was going to be, just over the top. And after going through the demos, it turns out the second one, it was actually a lot better because of those features. So we were able to kind of utilize those features. So it's such, things like the administrative side, the reports, the ability to kind of, see and interact with what they do. So some of the features include like being able to get a link to like an actual alert, and if there's 4 people that get the alert, they can all go in and they can chat with each other on that alert and say, hey, I've already talked to the guy, it's a false alarm, he's safe, or hey, he's not responding, he hasn't answered my calls. And that way we're not circling each other trying to play catch up and figure it out. It's all in this little communication hub. So that was a really cool feature that this app had that allowed us to kind of find out, or to stay in sync with each
Yeah.
other in the easiest way possible.
So it's essentially a little chat room, right? So the administrative end of it, if a guy doesn't respond, the alert goes out to whoever on the team has been listed as
Yeah.
administrative, and then they have a chat room where they can communicate. Hey, have you talked to Bob? Yeah, Bob's good. I talked to him, and it sounds like a really efficient way of checking in on employees who are alone and perhaps in an potentially unsafe situation.
Yeah, so I mean, it really had a lot of features. So the example of Bob there is if Bob, so just starting with the triggers, right? So the ways that the app can signal an alert is, one is a check-in. So you say, hey, I'm going to be done at 2 p.m. and if you don't check in by 2 p.m., an alert goes out. Another would be a panic button. So they can actually, if they're having a medical issue or something else, they can hit the panic button and signal an alert automatically. We also had a wearable device, it looks like a little key fob button, and that allows you to have a fall detection device on you. So when it's on you, if it's on your person, your pocket, or whatever else, and you were to fall, that automatically triggers the motion, and it can send out an alert that somebody has suffered a fall and may be in trouble. And then the last one is like a motion alert on your phone itself. So like if you turn that on and your phone doesn't move for like, let's say 10 minutes, all of a sudden that'll start a countdown, and if you don't respond, again, it'll send out an alert that, hey, Bob hasn't moved in 10 minutes and there might be cause for alarm here. So there's really 4 different ways of triggering the alarm, and then once that goes out, it goes out to designated people. We can set up like a first alert with maybe myself, and a second alert to a manager, and a third alert, if nobody's responded in 10 minutes, goes all the way to a vice president or somebody, right?
Mhm.
So just to make sure that somebody eventually gets that notice. And then once,
Sure.
so that link we were talking about, it comes via text message or email. We log, or, you click on the link and go in, and all the information. So the guy's GPS location, his phone number, his contact info. He's allowed to, like when he starts his sessions, he can put notes in to say, hey, I'm in room 206, or I'm on the rooftop, or wherever I'm at. We can see all
Right.
that stuff. We can also upload our own procedures. So let's say you haven't done this in 6 months and it's your first time, and you can click on this and read all these procedures and say, okay, first call him, then do this, then do that. And so it's all right in front of you. You don't have to remember it or anything else. And then ultimately, like you said, we can kind of post a chat log of what's happening, and ultimately, cancel the alarm if we need to,
Right.
and everything else. So lots of cool features.
Yeah, so you had started to mention that you had sort of a pilot group who sort of tested things out for you. Was there any initial feedback from those folks when they were piloting the program? They liked it, it made them feel safer. Was there anything worthy of talking about?
Yeah, so when we brought the individuals in to say, hey, we'd like you to, they all volunteered. We said, hey, we have this new idea of a lone worker app. We'd like to get some feedback from real guys in the field, and so all of them volunteered to be a part of it. And they were really good about feedback. Initially, before they even had either of the apps, everybody was on board with, just here's an extra tool that can keep us safe. Because again, being the lone workers out there, they fully recognize that they are the one that it's in harm's way at 2
Right.
a.m. in an emergency service call, or in a back room where nobody is at, or something else. So yeah, so they were all for it. We painted it as an opt-in program. It wasn't going to be anything we forced on them or made them, to be using when it's not necessary or anything like
Right.
that. It was really just, this is a tool for if and when needed to turn on. So
And that was one of the features we talked about, right? Because the worker can turn it on as they're entering that unsafe situation. So it's not on all day. It's on at the times where there is a potential safety risk. And so we want to make sure that you're moving. Like your example of the gentleman who was unconscious, had that been on his person when he was knocked out, you would have gotten a notification that he was out for 10 minutes not moving, and somebody could have followed up.
Right. So we talked about that that situation at length with this, because we looked at all four of these potential triggers, and say if he had had the button on, it may have triggered a fall alert. If he was not moving, it may have triggered the motion alert. If he had a session that expired and he missed his check-in, it would have triggered an alert, and he potentially may have even been able to hit that panic button and trigger an alert. So
Right.
he could have been any one of those ways would have likely triggered us to have an immediate response to his situation versus the length of time that it ended up taking. So yeah, so the guys were all very eager to try it. We did get a lot of good feedback. We got some false alarms, of course. There's always going to be a learning curve with new technology and tools like that. But yeah, the other piece with the requirement to use it, we in the interim we did have some kind of ad hoc policies that were really requiring guys to like check in every couple of hours, regardless of what they were doing every day, and it was really just inefficient and taking up time that didn't need to be. And so now with this, we can put it in the guy's hands to say, look, if and when you are alone, you have the responsibility to turn this on. If you're days and weeks that you're working with people all day and around other people, then no need to turn it on, right? So it's not going to be an undue burden that they have to use when not needed.
So you guys did this sort of pilot. You got some good feedback from those who piloted the project, and I understand that you've now implemented it, but it hasn't been all that long. Is that correct?
Correct. So we launched on April 5th. So this is week 3 right now of having it go live. So to recap too, we focused this on our service departments. So all of our service trades were the primary focus on this. And being here in Milwaukee, we decided to use the Milwaukee service trades as our second tier test bed, I suppose we'll say. So the overall plan is that, assuming that we don't hit any major bumps in the road over the next weeks or months here, we do plan to go company wide with it to all of our service groups across the company. But yeah, so the first 3 weeks, I'm actually surprised that I kind of expected to have a few more false alarms and hiccups than we've had. The guys have done well with getting registered and getting, the company did great with training us and getting everybody, making the training very easy to understand. Again, the app is intuitive and everybody's been on the up and up. So yeah, it's actually been a really positive experience so far.
That's awesome. Well, I think it's great, right? Technology is always changing, and it's great when we can use it as a tool to keep people safer. So I think that's great, and I appreciate very much that you were able to come out and talk to us today. Was there any other sort of highlights you wanted to share with us before we break?
No, I just again, I think that Ahern very much sees the benefit of this. When it came to reviewing the cost and the financials and the approvals, I kind of went in there expecting a fight, maybe not a fight, but a longer justification.
Sure.
And I was surprised that it took, a matter of minutes for people to review the cost and the benefit and for Ahern to give the green light to move forward on this. So it was very encouraging from our top level management that we moved on this right away, and we saw it as a absolute win and benefit for our guys to stay safe out there. So yeah, so
That's
it's
great.
we're happy to have it as part of our toolbox.
Yeah, that's great. And I think it's a testament to Ahern's commitment to safety for their employees. So I appreciate very much that you guys are willing to share this information with us. I think as an industry, it's important that we keep everyone safe. So thanks again for joining us. We appreciate it. And to all of our listeners out there, stay safe. And until next time, I will hopefully see you soon. Take care, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.